K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Come expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, it is Monday afternoon, evening. It is a little bit after 6 o'clock Central Time. You are tuned in to K98talk.com. For those of you who may have tuned in for the first time, if you're wondering how to find this particular show, you can follow me all over the place. The show has its own personal Facebook page, www.facebook.com/America is coming off the rails. On that page, I take a little bit of a different approach than I do on the show. You can also follow me or friend me personally on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Rowdy Ricky Robinson. Also, you can follow me on the Twitter. I know, everybody says the with Twitter and the with Facebook. I think it's something to do with, being above the age of 30. I don't know. I usually make fun of folks for doing that, but occasionally it slips out even for me. But you can follow me there on Twitter, along with about 1,500 other folks, so feel free to join in. That's going to be at _R_OKC. And that is pretty much all the ways you can find me personally. Now, if you ever want to get in touch with me, we do normally have call-in lines. That will not be functional today. We're having a system issue. I'm having too much of a memory issue with the computer, so I don't want to wind up drowning everything out. Besides, most of the time when you guys talk, it's usually through Twitter or occasionally when I pop into the chat. I probably won't be in there much today either, again, because of the system issues, but I do have my Twitter pulled up, so if you want to message me something there, you can. So while you're there, if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and click on the follow button. You want to do it. Do it. Do it. It can't hurt you. I only bite upon request. Anyway. Just kidding. Okay, so lots going on, lots of changes around here at K98 Talk, and that's one of the reasons why if you've tuned in Saturday looking for the normal stuff, I actually took Saturday off to start prepping for some stuff. Some of you who follow us on Twitter already know this, but I am very excited to announce that the Politainment Group has joined K98talk.com with live programming. We've been running their podcast for a while now, but thanks to some fortuitous circumstances that fell our way and the fact that I actually become pretty good friends with a couple of them over the last few months, the opportunity arose. So we have taken them on here at K98 Talk. Of course, they still own all of their content, but now you'll be able to hear them every now Monday and Wednesday, which is one of the reasons why I'm really excited tonight, because they're starting tonight. So basically, the lineup has changed a little bit. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, other than this Thursday, you will hear me doing the America Off the Rail show. A couple times a month, we will probably set Thursday aside to do Wake Up America. This Thursday, we have a very special guest, Mr. Rod Eccles. He is a conservative talk show host who is out of... I'm sorry, I don't have his bio information pulled up in front of me, but he is joining us this Thursday for the entire hour. I hope to have Grouchy with us there as well. The reason I have stepped aside on Wednesday evenings is because since Grouchy does a 2-hour show, we have decided to let him become Bunny's opening act now that everybody's live over here on Talk. So from 6 to 8, you'll get to hear Grouchy. From 8 to 9, these are, of course, all Central Time, you'll get to hear Bunny. And then 9 to 10, you'll hear Jason from According to Me. Now, once that's done, of course, we'll go to the Liz Harrison radio show, which will now air every night at 10 o'clock Central, I think. 6 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Yeah, 10 o'clock Central. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we will still go right straight over into Open Eyes Radio from the L&M crew. And then, of course, the L&M show after that. Not quite sure what we're doing yet with the Tuesday, Thursday late night stuff, because I'd expected... Open Eyes to be 5 days a week by now, and they haven't done that. So, but either way, at this point, we do have 4 great new shows coming to the lineup. So I want to make sure that everybody makes them feel welcome. I myself will actually be hanging out in the chat for the next few weeks, just to make sure that I can start cajoling people to be in there. It's something that we haven't used very much, and I know the Polititainment crew have used it pretty heavily everywhere they've been. So we definitely want to start getting folks used to being able to go there. Now, for tonight, as soon as this show is over, we will go right straight into, I almost said Voices of Global Freedom, but that's their time slot's changing for us as well. But what we will have as soon as this is over is the Right War with Liz and Taylor, and then at 8 o'clock we will go right straight into Real Serious Nonsense, and then after that you will have the Daniel Stafford show, starring, of course, Daniel Stafford. Now... been getting some feedback from some folks, and I just got to say this. If you haven't listened to Daniel's show yet, you've really got to give it a shot. I know that, in the last couple of places he's been, he's kind of gotten a raw deal. He's kind of been the last guy coming on. But the thing about that is, sometimes the anchor spot is the best place to be, but the problem is he wasn't getting very much attention. So we've been cross-promoting a lot over here. If you're not following him on Twitter yet, I do suggest you do that as well. Like I said, if you haven't heard his show yet, you definitely need to make sure you tune in tonight. And actually, we'll have some promos for them that we'll be playing here later as well. But I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a round out and round up as to some of the changes that have gone on here. We've got even more announcements we're eager to make as soon as we can close some other deals. But K98 Talk is actually becoming one of the best places for talk radio, and I don't mean to say that just to toot my own horn. I mean, come on. Think about this just for a second. I'm not even talking about myself here, but let's just, I'm the crappy opening act for everybody that basically comes on after 6 o'clock Central. So, let's just throw me in there just for the sake of it. But that's like tonight. We have me. Then we have Angie and Clay on Real Serious Nonsense. Then we have Daniel Stafford. Then we have Liz Harrison. I mean, you want to talk about some of the best talk radio around. We've got it all in one place for you. And it's getting to that point where it's almost every single day. For the evening time slots especially, we have some of the best talk radio around. So if you're just now finding us, make sure you stick around. If you can't always listen live, that's fine. We have several places to find the podcast. For this particular show, there are several places you can find it. You can always find it on our Spreaker homepage by searching K98 Talk. You can use the app to do that as well. Spreaker has its own app that you can download. This show actually has its own app. You can put America Off the Rails in quotation marks, download it straight from the Android market. You can also find this show on iHeartRadio. And anytime it is a live broadcast, you should be able to find it both at K98Talk.com as well as the TuneIn server. So at this point, if you're not sure how to find me, it's mainly because you're not looking. So start looking, would you? Just saying. Okay, so I have been off and doing general manager stuff other than radio broadcasts for several days now. So there are lots of things that I want to talk about and bring to your attention and maybe give you my own personal perspective on them. Before we do that, though, we are actually going to go ahead and take a short break just to give me some time to get a couple of things situated. We will be right back here in just a couple minutes, folks. Don't you go away.
y'all. This is Sam Janney, also known as The Bunny, and you're listening to America Off the Rails.
A show that will change internet radio as you know it.
Okay, so let's talk about the story, which I think is hilarious. I'm just going to refer to it as the poop plane, because, like, what else are you going to call it? But there was this plane, okay? It took off. It's the British Airways. They were going to Dubai. I have a hard time pronouncing that one.
It was British Airways? It wasn't Jet. It wasn't Jet Poo?
It wasn't.
Couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I like it. This story, if we've ever had a story that is up our alley, it's this one. It's bathroom humor up from front to back of the airplane, apparently. They had to turn around to go back to Heathrow because they said the smelly poo in the toilet became unbearable for passengers, and it was so bad. They decided it's so bad that they had to turn around and go back rather than continue their flight. They decided that there wasn't enough Febreze, there wasn't enough anything to handle this.
Maybe they should see a doctor. Is there a GoFundMe for this guy?
It must be a woman, because a woman's going to be mortified and embarrassed. If this is a guy, you know that he's like out there on Twitter and everything else saying, dude, I took down an airplane with how bad that I laid it down.
There was an old woman who flew on jet poo. She ate so many burritos she didn't know what to do.
So we turned the plane around because they made a big stink. We've just made it into a haiku at the end, but there had to be something.
Real Serious Nonsense, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.
For her own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political courageous will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, bless you, pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect, or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
All right, we're back. We're live. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. And yeah, I know I took an early break, but come on. With a spot like that sitting there, I couldn't hold on to it any longer. I'm just saying, those guys are funny as hell. I mean, come on. I actually considered playing another commercial because I almost shot tea out of my nose while I was sipping, while I was listening. I mean, come on. You know, that's the kind of stuff that we now have available for you here every Monday night, right here on K98Talk.com. Real Serious Nonsense, followed by Daniel Stafford. If you haven't heard anything from Daniel yet, he actually does have an introduction up on our podcast page, so you can go listen to that if you want, and we'll have a promo from him here in just a little bit as well, because, you know, we like to promote everybody we can as often as we can, because otherwise, what good is it to be on a station if we're not going to say, hey, these guys are here, come listen. Okay, but it is time at this point for us to go ahead and get into some of the meat of the show. Now, I don't have a sound clip for this one, but one of the things that I've actually seen popping up on social media lately is the fact that I guess apparently Jon Stewart has been replaced, and the guy's name is not in front of me right now, but apparently everybody's talking about some new young stud that's going to be taking his place on Comedy Central. I gotta say, it took me a long time to warm up to Jon Stewart, because let's face it, he's a liberal schlub, but occasionally, towards the end of this nightmare that we call the Obama administration part due, basically he's finally started taking some shots at the administration, which are rightly deserved. I'm wondering if that might not be part of the reason why he's suddenly stepping down. Just saying. But yeah, so anyway. So apparently the social media is all a Twitter and a flutter and a bombarded and gone viral with the fact that they've named his replacement. I barely watched the show the first time, And I usually only even gave it any credit when Stewart said something that I found either completely asinine or completely hilarious. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be checking out the new one, but hey, all the younger crowd is like all aflutter, so I guess whatever. So yeah, Jon Stewart's successor has been named. Yawn. Can we move on, please? Okay, so lots of other stuff going on in the news, and also not only that, but really on social media. As I've been on Twitter more, I am getting more and more engaged with the folks, and I have to say, there are some folks that have made me sad to be part of the human race. One of them, and I'm just going to say this, is Montel Williams. Now, I know all of you are like, but hey, Montel Williams rocks, dude. He's like dealing with a disability. He's been a successful talk show host, and he's done all of these great things. Well, now he's basically just turned into an angry hater has-been troll. And I say this because there's a certain talk show host who has also now joined K98 Talk who blocked him several months ago because of the fact that he was basically attacking her because she kept trying to say, all of these folks that are completely losing perspective over Ferguson really need to take a breath and take a beat. And of course, he started completely freaking out because, he's black, so only he can understand what goes on when it comes to the town of Ferguson. And again, I don't even really like bringing this subject up because I've lost friends over Ferguson because I kept standing with the officers. But some of you have heard my story by now, and you know that I used to wear a badge and a gun, so anytime I have to choose between somebody who basically was doing something to be a complete idiot or somebody that was wearing a badge and a gun and putting a target on their back every day, I'm going to side with the guy with the badge and the gun unless you give me a really good reason not to. And this guy didn't. But needless to say, so by the time it was all said and done, there were words exchanged, and, Montel basically being Montel started being just completely angry and over the top. So she blocked him. Well, I guess apparently it took him several months to figure out that he'd been blocked by her. So, of course, he started trolling her because he'd been blocked, and then other people joined in. And I don't know. Social media annoys me. Let me just put it that way. Because a lot of you will sit there with your made-up names and your made-up pictures, and you will basically just pretend to be something else that you're not. Some of us are out there really trying to make a difference, and some of us, for reasons that are only beknownst to us, will not use our real names or real pictures or whatever the case may be, but we're still really being ourselves. Some of you guys just completely take it over the top and just decide, hey, since nobody knows who I am, this is my place and my time to be a complete and total douche canoe. And a lot of you are doing that very, very well. And some of us are getting really, really tired of it. So, yeah. Why don't you realize that, you're still talking to people, and even if you disagree with them, you can disagree with them without coming off as a complete and total douche. I talk to people on Twitter that I disagree with all day, every day, because I'm a conservative and I am anti-abortion and all the other things, so I will basically tell them, look, I'm not trying to tell you that you have to follow my particular belief system. What I'm telling you is I'm giving you my belief system. I'm not trying to hold you to it. I just want you to understand my point of view. That's where we seem to have lost it. And it seems like somewhere back in the maybe early 2000s, everybody all of a sudden decided that their way was the only way and their way is the only right way. And there's only one way to get it done, and it's this way and nothing else. And if you don't fall into lockstep with every single aspect of that, you're done. I mean, look what happened with Mitt Romney. Can you honestly imagine what our economy probably would have been like today if we would have elected Mitt Romney? No, there were things about him I didn't like. I'm not going to lie. But there were plenty of things about him that I did like the fact that he understands how to run a business, which is basically what our economy is a ginormous business. We have the president, who's basically the CEO. Congress is the shareholders. So, it's not like the business model's not there. And the simple fact of the matter is, he probably would have done a much better job with the recovery than what we have. But now we'll never know because, he was too moderate, and he had binders full of women, which was the dumbest thing ever because everybody knew what he was trying to say. But just because he misspoke, we've got to take him apart. I don't understand that anymore either. It's like nobody understands that we're all human and we do occasionally make mistakes when we speak. Because if you don't completely say everything the right way and spell it exactly the right way and enunciate everything appropriately, all of a sudden you're automatically a dumbass. I just don't get it. Anyway, so I did kind of digress there just a little bit, but I just had to vent over Montel and some of the other folks that have been complete and total douchebags on internet, and especially Twitter lately. I don't know what it is about Twitter. You know, how is it that you can fit 140 characters of hate into Twitter every 5 seconds? I don't understand it. But hey, you know, who am I to judge? You know, you want to come onto social media, spout your hate, talk about how, you know, there are certain service people that should have eaten their service weapon by now, even though these guys are the ones that were defending your freedom to be a dumbass. You know, feel free to do that, because I'll call you out each and every time that I see it, and continue to do it until you either shut up or you shut up, whichever one. Doesn't matter to me, pick one. Shut up or shut up, I'm good. Okay, so things that we need to talk about during the remainder of this hour. And it also kind of goes along with why I had started out talking about Twitter. We have a clip from Indiana Governor Mike Pence. It's a bit of a long clip, but I'm going to play it because the unedited version works better than anything else I was able to find. So we'll give this a listen and talk about it a couple minutes and take a break.
Joining us. Was it a mistake
George,
to sign
thanks for
this
the
law?
opportunity.
So was it a mistake to sign this law?
Absolutely not. The Religious Freedom Restoration Act was signed into federal law by President Bill Clinton more than 20 years ago, and it lays out a framework for ensuring that a very high level of scrutiny is given anytime government action impinges on the religious liberty of any American. After that, some 19 states followed that, adopted that statute, and after last year's Hobby Lobby case, Indiana properly brought the same version that then State Senator Barack Obama voted for in Illinois before our legislature. And I was proud to sign it into law last week. But look, I think I understand that there's been a tremendous amount of misinformation and misunderstanding around this bill, and I'm just determined. And I appreciate the time on your program. I'm just determined to clarify this. Well, this is about protecting the religious liberty of people of faith and families of faith across this country. That's what it's been for more than 20 years, and that's what it is now as the law in Indiana, George.
But I think one of the problems that people have pointed out is that in Indiana, your civil rights laws don't include sexual orientation as a protected class, and even some of the supporters of the bill who appeared with you when you signed the bill, Eric Miller of Advance America, wrote that it will protect those who oppose gay marriage. He put up this example. He said, Christian bakers, florists, and photographers should not be punished for refusing to participate in a homosexual marriage. So this is a yes or no question. Is Advance America right when they say a florist in Indiana can now refuse to serve a gay couple without fear of punishment?
Well, let me explain to you. The purpose of this bill is to empower, and has been for more than 20 years, George. This is not speculative. The purpose of this legislation, which is the law in all 50 states in our federal courts, and it's the law by either statute or court decisions in some 30 other states, is very simply to empower individuals when they believe that actions of government impinge on their constitutional First Amendment freedom of religion. And frankly, George, there's a lot of people across this country who you're looking at Obamacare and the Hobby Lobby decision, looking at other cases, who feel that their religious liberty is being infringed upon, and the Religious Freedom Restoration Act at the federal level and all the states now, including Indiana, who have it, are simply about addressing that. This is not about discrimination. This is about empowering people to confront government overreach, George.
On it, because your supporters say it would. And so yes or no, if a florist in Indiana refuses to serve a gay couple at their wedding, is that legal now in Indiana?
George, this is where this debate has gone with misinformation and
it's just a question, sir. Yes or no?
Well, there's been shameless rhetoric about my state and about this law and about its intention all over the internet. People are trying to make it about one particular issue, and now you're doing that as well. The issue here, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act has been on the books for more than 20 years. It does not apply, George, to disputes between individuals unless government action is involved. And in point of fact, in more than 2 decades, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act has never been used to undermine anti-discrimination laws in this country.
Sir, I'm just bringing up a message from one of your supporters. That was one of your supporters who was talking about the bill right there. It said it would protect a Christian florist who against any kind of punishment. Is that true or not?
George, look, the issue here is, is tolerance a two-way street or not? I mean, there's a lot of talk about tolerance in this country today having to do with people on the left. But here Indiana steps forward to protect the constitutional rights and privileges of freedom of religion for people of faith and families of faith in our state. And this avalanche of intolerance that's been poured on our state is just outrageous. You've been to Indiana a bunch of times. You know it. There are no kinder, more generous, more welcoming, more hospitable people in America than in the 92 counties of Indiana. And yet, because we simply stepped forward for the purpose of recognizing the religious liberty rights of all the people of Indiana, of every faith, we suffered under this avalanche for the last several days of condemnation, and it's completely baseless. It's not based on any fact whatsoever.
I completely agree with you about the good people.
And I think people are getting tired of it, George. I really do. Tolerance is a two-way street.
So when you say tolerance is a two-way street, does that mean that Christians who want to refuse service, or people of any other faith who want to refuse service to gays and lesbians, that it's now legal in the state of Indiana? That's a simple yes or no question.
George, the question here is if there is a government action or a law that an individual believes impinges on their religious liberty, they have the opportunity to go to court, just as the Religious Freedom Restoration Act that Bill Clinton signed allowed them, go to court, and the court would evaluate the circumstance under the standards articulated in this act. That's all it is. And when you see these headlines about Indiana, a license to discriminate in Indiana, and it just, I'm telling you, George, it is a red herring, and I think it's deeply troubling to millions of Americans and frankly, people all across the state of Indiana who feel troubled about government overreach. This isn't about disputes between individuals. It's about government overreach, and I'm proud that Indiana stepped forward. And I'm working hard to clarify this. We're reaching out to business leaders. I'm pleased to be on your show speaking across the country on this. We are determined to make it clear that what Indiana has done here is strengthen the foundation and the constitutional First Amendment rights of religious liberty of our people.
I'm trying to get that same clarity. And it sounds to me like what you're saying is that someone could use their religious faith as a defense against any kind of a suit brought there. But let's try to get to that clarification you're talking about. One fix that people have talked about is simply adding sexual orientation as a protected class under the state's civil rights laws. Will you push for that?
I will not push for that. That's not on my agenda, and that's not been... All
right, so the reason I wanted to play that entire clip is because if you'll notice, over and over again, he kept trying to tell Mr. Stephanopoulos that, one, this is... I mean, for all of you guys that like to point out how the Affordable Care Act basically mirrors Mitt Romney's legislation from Massachusetts, this is kind of the exact opposite. There was a federal law already passed that did everything that this particular law did quite some time ago, but now that a state has passed it, oh my God, everybody's hair's on fire. And he kept saying over and over again, this law will not protect private disputes. This is to make certain that the government cannot overreach. This is why he kept talking about the Hobby Lobby case, where the government was trying to make a business, not another individual. The government was trying to make a business do something that, because of the fact that they are a religious-based organization, they had a problem with. That is what this bill is about, but nobody wants to talk about it. Because that doesn't sell any papers, and that doesn't sell any airtime, and that doesn't bring in any ad revenue, because nobody's going to tune in to hear a boring story about how everybody got their panties in a twist over a law that doesn't really affect anybody, because it only matters if the government tries to step in, not regulations between two separate individuals. Now, that being said, we still have freedom of speech in this country, so let's put this in another damn perspective, shall we? What if I shave my head and all of a sudden walk into a Jewish bakery and say, I want you to bake me a cake with a swastika on it, you little Jew bastard, and I want you to do it now? What would happen there? Not only would they probably refuse my service, they would likely call the police on me, and then I would be charged with hate speech for trying to put a swastika on a cake. Let's take it a step further. What about all of these places that are now halal friendly that are refusing to serve bacon because the majority of their customers are Muslim? If a Muslim walks into a Subway that serves bacon, should they be able to sue because that Subway serves bacon? If somebody walks into a Subway that doesn't serve bacon, should they be able to sue because their religious preference doesn't have the issue with bacon that the Muslims do? I mean, come on, this is how stupid all of this crap has gotten. Can we just be adults? I mean, come on. I run a business. A lot of us that listen to these type of programs run a business. If somebody that came into, let's say I ran a cake shop. Okay, so let me see. Jane and Janice want to get married and they want me to make them a cake. Okay, are you going to pay cash, check, or credit card? I'm not participating in the wedding. I'm not an active participant. I'm making a damn cake. Why is that a problem? The simple fact of the matter is, for those of you that it is a problem for, you need to find a way to at least make yourself not sound like a total douche canoe, because that's the problem. When somebody says, hey, me and my wife want to get married and we're gay, and you're like, no, I can't do that because I think that your lifestyle is an abomination. I'm sorry, you deserve to be sued. Plain and simple. Because you are discriminating at that point. But here's the thing about that. Even if they are, even if they're just being complete and total tools about it, when did we all of a sudden not have the right to have the market make choices? Because for every baker that says no, 20 are going to step up and say, hey, I'll make your cake. So why don't we just let the market decide? Let the people that don't want to make cakes for gay weddings not make cakes for gay weddings, and the people that want to make cakes for gay weddings get more business. Instead of, ooh, you're discriminating against me, so now I'm going to sue you out of existence because I don't hold the same religious beliefs that you do, and you shouldn't be able to hold me to those standards. It's a private business. It's like all of these folks that are talking about the segregation rules in the 60s. There's a big difference because those weren't private individuals deciding to segregate against other people. That was government mandated. Again, I'm going to say it again. Government mandated segregation. It wasn't, well, I don't want them in my building. Nope. No, even if they did, they didn't have a choice, because if they tried to let them in the building, they could be charged with breaking the law. That's what this is about. That's what this law is about. That's what it was originally about when it was passed by the federal government, was to make sure that if the government tries to do something completely crazy and stupid, you can't be sued for following your conscience. If the government does it, not private individuals. Indiana is all over the news and being lambasted about this stupid bill, and nobody wants to even think about the fact that it was a damn liberal that passed it in D.C. in the first place. Are you going to take Bill Clinton's liberal card away? Because it passed under his watch. Now there are 19 states total that have mirroring legislation, which was all fine and dandy when it was done the reverse, when, you know, the ACA was mirrored after a Massachusetts bill, and everybody had a cowl because, hey, you're exceeding your authority because this should be left up to the states. Oh, well, no, but at this point, we're going to do this now. And then the states are going, hey, you're exceeding your authority because you're violating a rule that you've already passed, so we're going to do it here. Because parts of the ACA violated the very law that Clinton passed. Because you can't, as the federal government, make people violate their spiritual beliefs. It's the exact opposite of separation of church and state. You can't make them do anything that is against their religious beliefs if you are a government functionary. I don't understand why this is that complicated. Anyway, since we took that early break, I did go ahead and run this one just a little bit long. We are going to have to take another one again already. Doesn't seem like it should be that time again already. But the good news is we do still have a little over 20 minutes left and lots more stuff to talk about. So, hopefully we'll get to that here in just a second when we come right back. Alright folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host Rick Robinson. We'll be right back here in just a couple of minutes. You guys don't go anywhere. Still got lots more to talk about.
K98Talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98Talk.com.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
Good day to you. As a distinguished gentleman, I need a serious source of news. One that doesn't waste my time when I'm enjoying my tea and crumpets.
White powdered! White powdered!
One that catches the most important stories of the day.
The poop plane.
Was it jet poop?
Real serious nonsense. Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.
I'm gonna just move in another direction towards the classy.
We'll be classy and not say dildo.
They're completely different from shows that aren't.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Calls, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no one free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect for fair play. The IRS will target.
Hey y'all, this is Sam Danny, also known as The Bunny, and you're listening to America Off the Rails.
Alright folks, we're back, we're live. We have about 20 minutes left and still lots to get to, so I don't know, some of this may have to hold over till tomorrow. I didn't expect that rant on Indiana to go quite as long as it did. Okay, so, yeah, this one will probably take what's left, I'm not gonna lie. I got a clip about the Bergdahl situation, and then I have a rant there too, so we'll see what happens. I might be able to squeeze the last two things I wanted to talk about into 10-minute segments, we'll see.
Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl has been charged with desertion and misbehaving before the enemy. He's accused of abandoning his post in Afghanistan in 2009.
Some members of his platoon are speaking out, saying he is not a hero. One of those members is a former medic who served with Bergdahl, Josh Cornelison. And Josh joins us now. Josh, when Bergdahl first went missing, what did you and the rest of the team initially think had happened to him?
You know, so we all knew that he had purposely walked away the afternoon after he had left because there was no other option. We had Bergdahl's body armor, we had his weapon, we had all of his sensitive items, and without him leaving any kind of note or anything, we knew that he had to have purposely walked away.
So you knew that he had walked away, but did you think he had deserted, that he was deliberately leaving the military? Were there any warning signs prior to that?
So Bergdahl, he had expressed a couple he was de-illusioned with the Army a little bit. But no one had ever anticipated him just walking away. That's just something you do not do when you're in the middle of eastern Afghanistan. You just don't drop everything you do and waltz out the front gate. It's not something that's even a rational thought.
He never talked about anything like that at all, Josh?
You know, it's one of those things where, I mean, you just don't do it. You just don't abandon your platoon. You don't walk away in the middle of eastern Afghanistan where there's enemies that you know are constantly around you. You just don't do it. It's unfathomable.
His attorney released a statement describing what he went through while he was held by the Taliban, and the conditions were dire, and he had apparently tried to escape a number of times. Does any of that hold any weight for you? Is it even a factor that he did try to escape?
No, because he wouldn't have been in that position had he not purposely and willfully walked away. So it's hard for me to sit here and say that he deserved all the punishment that he went through, but he never would have went through any of it had he not purposely walked away and abandoned his platoon and his unit and the United States Army.
What did you think when you heard about the charges against him yesterday?
I'm proud of the United States Army for doing this and for coming to this conclusion and for charging Bo Bergdahl with desertion and misconduct before the enemy. This isn't any new information. The Army's had this since right after Bergdahl left, but I'm happy that it has come full circle now, and that Bergdahl is being held accountable for his actions.
What sort of punishment do you think he deserves? He could face jail time, of course, a reduction in rank, forfeiting of his salary. What do you think he deserves?
Personally, I think he should be punished to the full extent of the UCMJ. So that's, taking away all of his back pay, stripping him of rank, stripping him of any benefits that he may get. And if that includes jail time, then that's what he should do.
All right, Josh Cornelison, who served with Bo Bergdahl, in his platoon. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so, yeah, there's a little bit of a clip for the Bergdahl situation. So, anybody remember when a certain Susan Rice was talking about how he had served with distinction and was to be deemed a hero? This is another thing that pisses me off about social media because, somebody like Chris Kyle, who actually was a hero, who basically did 4 tours and kept going back because he didn't want to leave any of the people that he had grown to love and care about in harm's way in Iraq. Because let's face it, when you kick in doors together, and I can say this personally, when you kick in doors together, that's a bond that never breaks. I don't care how mad you are at somebody. I don't care you don't talk to them for 10 years. If they call you for help, you're there. Because that's what that means. That's the type of bond that is. So the fact that that guy who served with those people could basically not only just completely walk away, but wind up helping the enemy is beyond me. I want to know why he's not being charged with everything that should be available to charge him for. You're telling me that they don't have enough evidence to try him for treason? Because that's what he did. He traded one military uniform while on active duty for another one and went to work for our enemy. As far as I'm concerned, that's treason, and that is punishable by death. And that is exactly what that idiot deserves. And I'm not going to pull a punch on this because that is crap. I have never served in the military, but I have worn a uniform. And when you're in that uniform, the people that are in that uniform with you, they are your brothers, they are your sisters, and you stand with them shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm if need be, to hold the line. You do not walk away. Never. Never do you walk away. And that's exactly what he did. And as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he chose, nobody drug him away. Nobody conked him over the head and drug him out and brainwashed him into becoming a Taliban soldier. He chose to do that on his own. Taliban, ISIS, I don't know, whichever one it is. But the simple fact of the matter is, then he comes back, he's promoted while he's AWOL. What the hell kind of administration is this where you're going to promote a guy while he's AWOL? How many people have been hurt looking for this douchebag? I've seen so many social media pictures like the dude that's paralyzed now because he was shot in the line of duty trying to rescue this idiot, this douchebag, this asshole. I usually try not to use language like this on the radio. I know we're not FCC regulated, but it irritates people when I use curse words. I don't know why. Other people can do it and nobody says a word. I do it and it's like, oh my God, you're better than that, Rick. You shouldn't talk like that on the radio. Well, you know what? This guy deserves all the vitriol I've got, and he's going to get every last bit of it because he is a traitor. Plain and simple. He's a traitor, he's a waste of skin, and he deserves to be hung after he's shot before he's drawn and quartered. That's what he deserves. I don't care. You walked away from your post. You picked up a gun against the people that you swore that you took an oath for. That's the thing that pisses me off. All of these people take oaths now like they don't matter. You have all these politicians that swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution while they use it as fucking toilet paper. You have all of these guys in the military that take these oaths now, and I say all, but there's very few. But I mean, come on. We've got Hassan, Allah Akbar dude. Then we've got this guy whose own father was on the White House lawn talking in Arabic. I mean, come on. You want to talk red flags? You want to talk, there's bigger issues here than we know? Let's have the Obama administration talking about what a hero this douchebag is, while now we find out that basically he's being charged with desertion because he's an idiot who walked away from his post. God forbid, they do a little bit more digging and try to find out whether or not he actually did pick up arms against U.S. soldiers, because I guarantee you that he did. I guarantee you that he did. Which means, as far as I'm concerned, he should be shot. And again, I had gotten in an argument with somebody a few weeks ago on Twitter who's now blocked me because basically he kept wanting to pound his chest about being an Iraqi veteran and this, that, and the other when he has no idea what I've been through either. No, I haven't served, but I have family members that have. And I understand what it's like. I haven't been there, but I've been in close enough situations that I understand at least a little bit of what it's like. Because like I said, I've worn a uniform. It's not in the military service, but I have worn a uniform. And no, I'm not talking McDonald's for all of you that are rolling your eyes right now. But the simple fact of the matter is this guy is a deserter. Plain, simple, no doubt about it in my mind at all. And he deserves whatever he gets. And as far as I'm concerned, they're going too easy on him. Yeah, I guess we will save the one last clip that I wanted to play probably for tomorrow. Probably open the show finishing off that one, which is about the whole recent plane crash and the fact that nobody wants to talk about that being terrorism either. Something that pisses me off about that is I saw this whole Facebook thing going around. Well, that's one of the advantages of white privilege. If you're a white guy that crashes a plane, nobody calls you a terrorist. No, nobody's calling anybody a terrorist right now, so let's just be completely honest. It doesn't matter what color you are. You could be running around screaming Allah Akbar, and somebody's going to say, oh, it was workplace violence. You can hack somebody's head off, and it wasn't Muslim-related, even though the story came out much, much later, even in more, that this guy was part of a mosque that was apparently trying to preach the type of Islamic faith that everybody says doesn't exist, which is the dangerous one. But yeah, I've got a clip about that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Want to take the last couple of minutes of the show just to talk about the Hillary Clinton bit. I had meant to grab something from the Polititainment group because they put together this great bit about Hillary and her email. But I didn't get a chance to do that yet today. Maybe we'll play that tomorrow too. But just have one thing to say about that whole situation. If you and me, as John Q. Public and Jane Q. Public, were to ignore a subpoena from Congress, what do you think would happen to us? If we were then to blatantly not only ignore said subpoena, but completely violate the law by erasing the things that they said they wanted to see, what exactly do you think would happen to us? Because I'm telling you right now, we would probably be put in some deep, dark hole, never to be seen or heard from again. And yet, that is exactly what Hillary Clinton did. Her server was subpoenaed. She said, I've turned over everything that I'm going to. And at this point, even if you wanted to see it, oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry. We've already erased it. You know, this broke Saturday while I was doing replays and getting things squared away with the Politainment group. And I had a little bit of a tweet that caught on for a second. Because honestly, the first thing that ran through my head when I saw the news going out about Hillary basically wiping her server clean, first thing I thought of was Bill and Hillary having an argument, and Bill being mad because he was upset because the dress wasn't so easy to clean. But I'm just saying. Alright, so at this point, we are going to go ahead and change gears here in just a couple minutes, and we are going to go over to the Vigilant Liberty Radio crew with the Right War with Liz and Taylor. Then don't forget, at 8 o'clock, we have Real Serious Nonsense live for the first time ever on K98Talk.com. Can you tell I'm excited about that at all? Nah, I mean, come on. You know, I've been talking to these guys for a while. We've had the ability to play their podcast for a while. But I'm really, really excited to have them here live. And I hope that we can make this a home for them and that they really, really like being here on K98 Talk, because we definitely like having them. And then don't forget, right after that, if you haven't heard him before, you definitely need to make sure that you tune in for the Stafford Voice right here live on K98 Talk. Don't forget, we do have a chat room, and even though my ancient butt doesn't use it, they will be in there. I do hopefully plan on hopping in there with them a little bit later. I may not be in there right away, just to give everybody a heads up. You know, I do have a life away from radio, so I'm going to go eat some dinner, hang out with the family for a little bit. But I'll be right back with you live tomorrow right here on K98 Talk. And then don't forget, as soon as the Stafford Voice is over, we'll have the the Liz Harrison radio show. Then we'll go into Open Eyes Radio with Ira from Late Night in the Midlands. Then we'll go right into the Late Night in the Midlands show. That will keep you with programming with us until basically the wee hours of the morning, because Liz will be done now at 11. Open Eyes will run from 11 to 1. And then L&M, the show itself, will run from about 1 to 4. So at this point, we'll now have programming on most nights, starting at about 6 in the evening, running till about 4 in the morning, and we even have some stuff starting to pop up during the day that we're going to start building around. We are getting closer and closer to the 24-hour-a-day programming we've been talking about for about a year now. So, as John likes to put it, fasten your seatbelt or grab your seatbelt or however he says it and get ready for the ride, because you ain't seen nothing yet, folks. We've got at least 2 other things in the works that we haven't been able to talk to you about yet, and even more coming, at least we hope so. So, again, that's going to do it from me tonight. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Don't go anywhere, because we got lots of programming back to back to back for you. And if nothing else, like I said, just tune in, check them out for a while. Some of you might not have heard these folks before, other than a podcast here and there. So just make sure that you are staying with it. All right, we are going to call it a night, folks. I know. You ever notice that I say that a lot? It's like I can't ever decide when I'm actually going to shut up. So I just keep saying it over and over and over again. So anyway, this will officially do it for me. You guys have a good night. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. I'll be back with you tomorrow night.
A show that will change internet radio as you know it.
Okay, so let's talk about the story, which I think is hilarious. I'm just going to refer to it as the poop plane because, like, what else are you going to call it? But there was this plane, okay? It took off. It's the British Airways. They were going to Dubai. I have a hard time pronouncing that one.
It was British Airways? It wasn't jet. It wasn't jet poo?
It was.
Couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I like it. This story, if we've ever had a story that is up our alley, it's this one. It's bathroom humor up from front to back of the airplane, apparently. They had to turn around to go back to Heathrow because they said the smelly poo in the toilet became unbearable for passengers, and it was so bad. They decided it's so bad that they had to turn around and go back rather than continue their flight. They decided that there wasn't enough Febreze, there wasn't enough anything to handle this.
Maybe they should see a doctor. Is there a GoFundMe for this guy?
It must be a woman, because a woman's going to be mortified and embarrassed. If this is a guy, you know that he's like out there on Twitter and everything else saying, dude, I took down an airplane with how bad that I laid it down.
There was an old woman who flew on jet poo. She ate so many burritos she didn't know what to do.
So we turned the plane around because they made a big stink. We've just made it into a haiku at the end, but there had to be something.
Real Serious Nonsense, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.